going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go.
Let me say right off the bat, this is my very first interview of 2026, and I am so blessed because I have been wanting to talk to this gentleman for, well, we speak, but I've been wanting to have him on for a while, and he has been gracious enough to give me his time. We spoke previously for several hours, and so it is with an honor and with pleasure I introduce our next guest and our first guest of 2026. He is an Emmy Award winning executive producer. He won specifically for his show titled Give, which was on NBC. Additionally, he is a business slash brand strategist. He's a focus coach at TMJ Personal Coaching. He's also a personal development national motivational speaker. In addition to that, he used to be an actor. He's worked in over 80 projects as an actor. He also, to include him as a producer. Without further ado, I present to you my friend and the wonderful Mr. Tommy Morgan Jr. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm
yes, sir, man.
I'm the jump off of 2026, man. I'm honored. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Yeah, this is an honor right here. And I'm so excited. I very rarely trip over my own words and lose my train of thought. And it just happened. And I'm not going to edit that out. I'd rather that be a genuine slip up moment. But man, let's hop into it. So, as I had mentioned, good sir, we had spoken on previous occasions. You've always been so kind and giving me your time, as well as my buddy Jose Pajardo Jr., who you were so gracious enough to talk with him, and my other buddy, our mutual friend, Mr. T.E. Terry Holmes. And so that brings me to you, sir. You have such a big heart. You have been in the business for many years. You've worked with a ton of people. Forgot to mention some of the shows that you worked on. Some of my old favorites. And I don't want to date you, but I want to mention a few of these classics because these are gems, like the Martin Lawrence Show, Living Single, and Living Color, as well as the Jamie Foxx shows, are a few shows that I grew up on. I know you've been working on more recent projects, but I wanted to highlight those because those shows in particular was in my household, and I grew up on those. And wow. This was a part of the culture. This is what helped shape me into the man that I am today. And I just want to say thank you so much for continuing on your own legacy, not just living off of what you've done in the past, which is great work to stand on. However, what you are continuing to shape for the future for people across the world. So my first question for you, sir, of course, my first question for you, my man, is what has kept you so hungry that you continuously create more opportunities for yourself and for the world?
Wow, man, that's a great question. I'm a creative, man. Bottom line, I'm just a creative person. Used to get me in trouble. When I was young, my parents had a radio. They bought this brand new radio, man. It was amazing. And back in those days, my parents went out on date night. And my sister was, she was 5 years older, so she was basically my babysitter. But my curiosity would get me in trouble. So that brand new radio, I went in there, I got a butter knife out of the kitchen drawer, and I used it as a screwdriver, and I took it apart because I wanted to see what it looked like inside. Okay. That's how my mind works, man. I'm a very curious person. So that actually built the foundation for what I do in my career. Everything that you just mentioned, as a producer, I've sold shows to 9 different networks. I've produced big movies. I have an Emmy Award. I have a Clio Award. I have never taken a class as a producer, ever. I've never stepped foot in an acting class. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that to illustrate this. Where I went to school, my parents sent me to a school called Palisades High School, and I went to a school called Beverly Hills High School, which is the real Beverly Hills 90210. Now, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
grow up like that. I don't want to get it twisted. My parents had me bust because they wanted me to see the other side of the tracks. So I went to school with people who had more money than they could ever spend. I went to Beverly Hills High School all 3 years for summer school, and Palisades High School was my primary high school. And I was around kids whose parents, everybody's parents, were producers and directors and rock stars and movie stars. And I was around that all the time, but Hollywood bored me, to be honest with you, because in my young mind at 16, 17 years old, I associated show business with divorce because all
Mm.
these people, they were wildly successful, but all their parents were divorced. I came
Yeah.
from an amazing family. And so I didn't want anything to do with it. But my
Mm-hmm.
mother always says, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened to me. I fell into show business. And especially when I always had amazing people around me that I could go to for advice. But when I started producing, especially, I would tell someone, hey, man, tell your dad I want to take him to lunch. And maybe their dad was some big, huge movie producer or some wildly successful writer or whatever it was. I'd take him to lunch and I'd sit him down. I'd let him order the biggest steak and a bottle of wine or whatever he wanted. And I'd sit there with a notepad and an iced tea. How'd you get your movie made? Get out of
Mm-hmm.
here. What? Okay, break it down to me. How'd the studio become involved? Okay, walk me through this. I don't know
Yeah.
about distribution. Tell me about that. And man, I took very copious notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I interview people in both film and in television because they're two different businesses. A lot of people don't understand that. And I interview people in both scripted and unscripted. I just took very copious notes. And here's what I know about business. Everything is duplicatable. I don't care what it is. It's duplicatable. Okay. So me and my partner, we just duplicated the process. And then we sold our first show. And we duplicated that and duplicated that. And now they just started falling like dominoes. So now,
Mm-hmm.
we sold shows to 9 different networks. And for me, I'm very, I'm just an inquisitive person. I want to know, how
Yeah.
does this work? And I was showing some successes in show business, but when I got to a point when I started producing, I wanted to create employment instead of begging for it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be part of the machine. And I'm enjoying where I am right now because I get a chance to exercise all of my creative muscles, instead of, being on camera and saying someone else's words. Because if you really
Yeah.
think about it, that's their dream. That's not mine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a piece of the machine that's making their dream come true. But I always wanted my dreams to come true. And what do I want to
Yeah.
do? What do I want to say? How do I want to use my gifts? So that's kind of philosophically how I got to be where I am, and that's
Wow.
and I'm still learning. I don't get it twisted. I'm not saying I'm an expert by any means. I'm just I'm an open book, and my chapters are still being written.
Man, I got chills, man. This is a beautiful thing because there's many thoughts that came to mind when
Mhm.
I was listening to you. Even in part with the summer with going to school in summer at the Beverly Hills, for the time that you did, and it taught me something. It's the importance of being where the action is. This is not to degrade any location anywhere, but I was brought up with the idea of, if you really want to be where you want to be, you need to be in areas where people facilitate those same ideologies. Like, for example, if I want to be in the industry, in the entertainment business, film business more specifically, it's good to get around individuals who are in it versus me just kind of being with other people who are just kind of doing whatever they want to do. Is not necessarily focused.
That's a
And
fact.
with you, right. And then with you being where you were at, being in the hub of everything, it allowed you to really grow into it quite naturally. And you
Mhm.
didn't have to go hundreds of miles out. You were already in it. And so my next question is, because of that, most people, especially when they go into Hollywood, and the ones who I have met, want to be actors. And you went there, you've been there, you've done that. I'm sure if you wanted to do it, you can go right back to it at the drop of a dime. But what really made you say, and I understood what you mentioned about, hey, I want to make my dreams become a reality. But at what point did you realize this life as a producer is where I really want to be at, and actor life, I'm gonna go ahead and put you in the back burner for now.
Mm, it was just progression, man. Early in my career, I used to play on a show called Webster back in the day,
Mhm.
starring Emmanuel Lewis.
Yeah.
And I was on set one day. This is my first recollection of really understanding what this was.
Mhm.
I was on set one day and we were between shots, and there was this man, and he walked on set and he went way in the back and sat in what's called Video Village. And for those of you who don't know what Video Village is, that's where all the cameras, they each have monitors. So you've probably seen this before. You see all the chairs, like the producers and directors' chairs, and they're sitting in front of all the monitors. And there was this man who walked on set, and he was very quiet. And he walked on set and he sat in the back by all the monitors. And everybody on set was like, oh, look busy. And they just picked up something. And I was like, I said, who is that? Now keep in mind, I played on the show. I never met this dude. They said, that's the executive producer. I said, ooh, I want to do that. I want to do that. And that was kind of like the seed, but I didn't really know what an executive producer does. A lot of
Right.
and a lot of people don't understand. They just hear that term and they think that an executive producer is the one that puts up the money. Now, in film and in television, there are two different meanings. In film, maybe one of the executive producers did have his hand in raising the money or putting some money up, but in television, it's an earned credit. Okay, because it's almost like your pay rate. Okay, when you write on a show, you go through all the stages and you build your way up to being an executive producer, and that can take years in many cases. But for me, I was very fortunate enough to get in this business and surround myself with the right people, and I was able to negotiate. My agents were able to negotiate certain credits for me, and I kind of speeded through the process because of what I brought to the table creatively. It's real interesting. And then I was watching my friends excel as well. One of my best friends, his name is Bentley Kyle Evans. You may know that name. Bentley created the Jamie Foxx show. Bentley created Love That Girl. Bentley was the executive producer on Martin. So I was just watching, my friends excel. And when you're around that, you kind of learn from the people around you. And I really learned the process, and I saw what it took to get to certain spaces. And, I kind of knew a person or two, or I knew some people, and, I was able to kind of puzzle piece that. I was always taught that your network is your net worth, which is actually how you and I met. Okay.
Yes, sir.
When someone sends me a connection request on LinkedIn, I literally say to them, I say, hey, you know what? I read your LinkedIn profile and thank you for the connection. Hey, LinkedIn can be limited, so tell me a little more about you. And here's a little more about me. I believe that you should really get to know the people in your network. And I hear people all the time say, hey, you know what, Tommy, I have 20,000 friends on Facebook. I'm like, you don't know those people. You don't know them, and they don't know you. Okay. Now, see, for me, I'm not a big social media guy, but I do understand how it works very well. I understand the algorithms. I understand all that. But, your network is your net worth. If you and I were driving down the street, God forbid, and we get in a car accident and we need a personal injury attorney, trust me, I know who to call. Trust me, because they're in my network and I know these people. These aren't people that it's some face in my in my network. I take the time to get to know people. And I think that's really important. Even on my LinkedIn, I don't gossip. I don't do anything political. My LinkedIn is inspiration, aspiration, and motivation. That's it.
Exactly.
And people understand where I stand philosophically. They understand who I am as a man. And that's why good business just comes to me, because that's really what I exercise. I stand on that. And that's who I am. So
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that, man. That's a good question.
Oh no, of course. And I really love the genuine the authenticity in which you speak. There's nothing what he's saying to those who are listening. He's speaking facts. In fact, when I reached out to him, it's exactly that. He responded back almost instantaneously, and we engaged in conversation. And then based off of the conversation, we exchanged contact information, and he called me and we spoke for 2 hours. or pretty much like hour, like 50 something minutes, but about 2 hours we spoke. And then we spoke again a few days later for an additional hour. And he's been there. We've never met in person, not yet. But that day, I pray will come at some point. But he's just been such a, I'm saying he as if I'm not talking to you right now, but you have been so kind, and the messages that you put out on your LinkedIn page is just that of plenty of inspirational messages and ways to better yourself. Heck, in fact, one of the things that I want to speak with you about was your skydiving experience, because,
Mm,
and I'm curious to know, many people might find this to be crazy, but the idea of jumping out of a perfectly good plane scares many people. Naturally, it's like a natural fear, and I know for me, when I wanted to jump out of a plane, I did it in a way that was, I would not encourage anyone to do, which was,
mhm,
I didn't tell my wife, I didn't tell my children, I didn't tell people I worked with. I only told my
mhm,
brother,
mhm.
and I called him the day
Right.
of, and I told him, hey, if you don't hear back from me in 4 hours, start making phone calls. But I wanted to do it for me. And if anything happened, that would have been unfortunate, but I felt really safe in the idea because it came to me in prayer that I should go and do it. And something about opening that door, looking over, and then
Man,
jumping out, and it's
man,
just air,
man.
cheeks.
Okay. Let me
What was your
pause you. Let
experience?
me pause you right. Let me pause you right there. And this is for all the listeners. Please get this message. Okay. We were talking about, I just believe this. If you want to excel in anything, okay, you got to surround yourself with the right people.
Yes, sir.
That's number one. Okay. Number two, if you want lightning to strike, you've got to go where the storms are. That's a
Mhm.
fact. Okay. Now, my partner Blair, man, man, I love this dude, man. For those of you who do not, um, haven't had the privilege of really understanding who Blair Underwood is, man, he's a great dude. And he
Mhm.
is my friend, it's my brother. Okay.
Yeah.
But Blair is fearless, man, in a lot of things. So here's what happened. We were about to step into an area of business that I was very uncomfortable with. And he said, man, why you tripping? I said, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm not a control freak, but I look at building a business is like a house of cards.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you pull the wrong one, the whole thing comes down, right? So I was like really uncomfortable at whatever we were going to do at that time. I can't remember, but he said, come on, man, why you tripping? It's just us and God. Why you tripping?
Yep.
And I was like, man, I don't know, man. He said, I'll tell you what, my daughter's birthday is Saturday. He said, she wants to go skydiving. You're going. I said, man, no, I ain't doing that, dog. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Okay. One, I was afraid of heights. One, I was
Yeah.
afraid of heights. Okay. But two, um, his kids, they call me Mr. Tommy, and they found out Mr. Tommy was scared to jump off an airplane. And then they
Yeah.
started clowning me. I was like, man, I can't have this, man. So long
Yeah.
story short, we go skydiving. Okay. And I don't know. Well, you know. Okay. But for those of you
Mhm.
who have never experienced this, when you are at 14,000 feet and they slide that door open, it's real now. It's
Yes,
real.
sir.
Okay. So I jumped on the airplane and man, I was attached to my instructor. Man, I'm
Mhm.
5'11". I'm about 190. And my instructor, she was about 5'3" and she was female. And I'm thinking
Mhm.
like, man, what you gonna do if something goes wrong? Okay. But when we
Yeah.
were up there in the air and I'm attached to her, we were having a little conversation. I
Yeah.
said, how long you been doing this? And she told me. I said, well, how many jumps are you going to do today? Because she worked at the skydiving place. And she
Mhm.
said, well, as soon as we land, they're going to cut this chute loose. And then I'm going to put on another one and go right back up. And she said, I'll do about
Yeah.
20 today.
Yeah.
I was like, what? She was like, yeah, I'll do
Mhm.
about 20 jumps today. So it made me feel in good hands because she was an
Yes,
expert.
sir.
Okay.
Yep.
But when I landed, here's the lesson, bro.
Mhm.
Everything that I was afraid of, because I was losing sleep. I was like, oh man, we're going skydiving tomorrow. Oh my God, dude, I was tripping.
Mhm.
But watch
Mhm.
this. When I landed, it was the most amazing experience that I've
Mhm.
ever done in my life. One, I
Yep.
was afraid of
Yep.
heights. And two, it was all in my mind. And here's
Mhm.
what I learned. God put the greatest things on the other side of fear.
No fear.
And a lot of people are afraid to step outside of their comfort zone. But when
Mhm.
you step outside your comfort zone, that's what creates growth.
Mhm.
Okay. That's what creates growth. So you should always surround yourself with people that stretch you, build you,
Yeah.
make you uncomfortable. So I'm comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's because I know I'm always growing and reaching, and I surround myself with people who are strong when I'm weak. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important. A lot of people get real comfortable and they
Yes,
wonder
they do.
why their life becomes stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like my clients, man, I hold them accountable. And, I think that just works. I'm just naturally, a person who pushes boundaries, and, it just seems to work for what I do for a living.
Yes, sir. No, that story about your skydiving experience and how and the events that led up to it, because you had a buddy who recognized the fear
Mhm,
and
mhm.
immediately was like, I know that fear. Let's go tackle it together. Or
Man,
better yet, you just go tackle it alone and
well,
overcome that.
yeah. I mean, again, successful people are successful for a reason. That's a fact. Okay. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't just wake up and that's what happened to them. And, a lot of times it's, I don't want to get this quote wrong, but one of my friends said this, and he said, extraordinary people, they don't do anything different. They just do ordinary things, but they do them extra,
Mm-hmm.
which makes them extra
Extraordinary.
extraordinary. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, um, I look at success like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you see a man or a woman and they have an amazing body, they go to the gym, they do that same exercise over and over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and over. The average person's like, I ain't doing that.
Yep.
Okay. And then you might say to a person with a really nice body and say, hey man, you know what? Today's a nice day. Hey, you want to go Cheesecake Factory and get some cheesecake? They're going to say,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'd love to, but I can't do that.
Right.
They have learned the art of sacrifice, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why they have the results that they have.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Business is the exact same thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
People who are successful in business, or they have mastered their craft or whatever it is. Okay. Trust me, late at night, they're doing the dirty work where everybody else is out at the club shaking their butt with all the
Mm-hmm.
broke people. Okay. That's a fact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Successful people, man, they move in silence and they move in darkness. And a lot of times it's
Yep.
very quiet. Okay. And I did a
Mm.
post this morning on LinkedIn about moving in silence. So many people go on LinkedIn and they announce, hey, everybody, I'm about to do this and I'm about to do that. Bro, you're killing yourself. Now, watch this. You and I talked
Mm-hmm.
about this. I'm a very, very spiritual dude. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in life has two complete opposites. There's good, there's
Mm-hmm.
bad. There's left,
Right.
there's right. There's up, there's down. There's North Pole or South Pole. Everything has a complete opposite. If you understand that principle, then you understand this. The same way that people can pray for you, people can pray against you.
Mm-hmm.
Be quiet. You don't need people to pat you on your back all the time. Man,
Right.
that's an insecurity to me. Like people that are all on putting their business, and a husband and wife
Mm-hmm.
getting in an argument on Facebook. I mean, they put it on Facebook. I'm like, man, that's a personality disorder, in my opinion. No
Oh, yeah.
disrespect to anyone, but everything is not
Yep.
for public consumption. So just be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because you don't want your hard work and your plans and everything, torn down because of bad energy. So, once
Mm-hmm.
you accomplish something, trust me, people will see it and it's going to speak louder than anything you could ever say. So just move in silence.
Yes,
That's the
sir.
rule.
Yeah, you reminded me, and I wrote this in 2009,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing. I think I was playing a video game or something like that with some friends, and I decided to kind of like peer away and do my own thing, and then this quote. I won't even say a quote because I wrote it myself. And I said the strong move in silence while the weak make their presence known. And this is not to insult anyone, but I remember feeling at that point in time in 2009 that there's a lot of people who make a lot of noise for whatever their reasons are, to be heard, to be seen, to be, maybe it's an ego boost. I don't know. It's kind of like going to the gym. We had mentioned the gym. It's kind of like going to the gym and seeing ego lifters or people like
Mm-hmm.
doing all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who are most disciplined, most poised, they recognize their limits. They don't have to do all of that extra stuff. and they go about it in a way where you don't even know that they're there. And then you see them leaving, and then they busted their butt. I'll mention another one, Kobe Bryant, one of my all-time favorite athletes, the late great Kobe
That's my
Bryant.
dude,
Kobe,
man.
yeah, Kobe he was an assassin, man. And one of the things I remember hearing in the stories that I listened to him about before he passed, I
Uh-huh.
followed him his entire career. And
Uh-huh.
one of the things I took note and I emulated myself was he used to get up around 3, 4 a.m., go to the court, hoop
4:30
ball
in the
by
morning
himself.
in the gym every
Yep,
day.
yes, sir. Yep. Yep. And he'd be there for some hours. Then he would leave, go eat breakfast and stuff with his family, go back. And by this time, some people are maybe coming, maybe they're not. Maybe some of his teammates show up in the afternoon, but he's like 4, 8 hours ahead of them in terms of his routine. He repeats that
Mhm.
all the time. I remember, I
Mhm.
think it was a story D Wade said, or maybe it was LeBron or Melo. I can't remember.
Mhm.
Maybe it wasn't any of them, but it was the same circle of people. And they had went out to a party, to a club or something like that. And Kobe he was in his shorts and he was in his gear to ball, the hoop. And I think when they came back from the club, I think he was just coming back from practicing,
I'm training.
or maybe he was. Yeah, okay. So you recognize that story too.
Mhm.
So it was to kind of go on side with what you're talking about. The importance of discipline and sacrifice, I believe, outweighs everything else. If you want to really achieve, I just recorded this video earlier today. I said
Mhm.
that you have to become so obsessed with the ideology of what you're trying to obtain that you have to think about it in your sleep. You have to wake up, and it's one of the first thoughts, if not the first thought, of what you need to do. You
Mhm.
need to.
Mhm.
It needs to become a part of your every being, your blood, the way you breathe, the way you
Mhm.
sleep, the way you talk. It
Mhm.
should resonate with people, and even if it doesn't resonate with everyone. It might resonate with a few, but I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but I'm gonna get back on path before you get out. But you
No,
you
but
got me
you're
fired up,
right.
man.
You're right, man. Listen, man, if listen, I believe that everything that you need to succeed and to make you millions and millions of dollars is right there in your cell phone. Okay. But
Hmm.
people do not take the time to like really
Yeah.
figure out what do they want to do. Like I say this all the time. I say this to you. I don't have a job. I hang with my friends and make money. Okay. Excuse my
Yeah.
French, but I hang with cool people and do cool shit. That's what my job is.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have defined the gifts that God gave me. Okay. And I
Hmm.
just said this to somebody just the other day, one of my clients. I said, we each have been given gifts by God. Now,
Hmm.
you have to understand what your gifts are. And if you do not utilize those gifts, you're cheating God. I believe
Yeah.
that. Okay. So for me, um, this is why you do not tell people what you want to do. Okay. Um, it's not for everyone. God put that in you. God called you to do that. That wasn't a conference call. That wasn't a Zoom
Hmm.
for everybody else to hear. That was for you.
Yeah. Hmm.
So just take that, be quiet, go underground and master your craft.
Hmm.
You don't need to tell anybody. Stop being so
Yeah.
thirsty. Stop looking for people to pat you on your back. Just be quiet.
Yeah.
And trust me, the work will speak louder than anything you could ever say. But that's where
Hmm.
people miss it. Or, people are gonna, they get afraid of, oh, but what are people gonna think? They might,
Yeah.
man, just be quiet and
Yeah.
do you. Okay.
Hmm.
And man, I promise you, good things happen. Let's just say this is point zero and success is 20 feet away. If you wake up every day and move 1 inch every day, you're going to get where you're going, but just move the inch. But most people, they don't, they're too busy walking around and, playing on Instagram and
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Bro, listen, I wish I would be watching a grown ass man dancing on TikTok. Really? Really?
Yeah.
And then people wonder why they're broke. They
Yeah.
wonder why. Okay. Come on, man. We
Uh-huh.
got to exercise some discipline.
Oh,
Okay.
for sure.
Me and my friend Bentley, we were just talking about this just the other day. Okay.
Hmm.
Now I'm dating myself, but when I was young, okay, there were four
Hmm.
networks. It was CBS,
Hmm.
ABC, NBC, and Fox. That's it.
Hmm.
And everything was regulated by the by the what is it, the FTC, yeah, not the FTC, the
The gatekeepers.
FCC, Federal Communications
Oh,
Commission.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Everything was. So the information that when it got to you, it was already filtered. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But now, fast forward to today, we have crackheads with YouTube channels, and they're saying whatever they want to say, and they're putting out whatever kind of whatever. Okay. And people digest this, and we wonder why we have all this craziness right now. So for me, I am one who believes that, especially when you want to achieve something, turn all that stuff off, man.
Yep.
Turn all that stuff off. Okay. Surround yourself with people who could show you where you want to go. Okay. That's my main message to anyone is get your advice from someone who has done what you want to do. If they haven't done it, run as fast as you can, because they're going to project their beliefs. They're going to project their shortcomings. They're going to project their everything negative onto you. And bad habits are hard to break. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like this. In my career, I've been really, really blessed in business. I've been really, really blessed in film and television. Okay. But why should you go through some things that I went through when I can sit down and tell you how to do it right the first time? Duh. Yeah. That just makes sense to me. But for whatever reason, people they don't operate that way, So I believe is you just got to turn off the noise. Yeah. Turn off the noise. Okay. Watch this. Here's an exercise that I do when I speak on stage, and this really works well when I'm in a big city like LA or New York or Atlanta or wherever, right? And I'll just randomly choose somebody. I'll say, "Excuse me, miss, what's your name?" She'll tell me. I'll say, "Hey, I'm Tommy. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. How many red cars did you see on the way to the venue today?" "Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I saw some." Stop right there. What if I were to pay you $1,000 for every red car that you saw? You'd be racking them up, wouldn't you? In fact, you'd probably say, "Hey, Tommy, hey, I know this car is burgundy, but it's in the red family. So come on, run me that 1,000. Okay. Opportunities are exactly like red cars. You walk past them every day, but you're not paying attention. You know why? You're walking right past a red car, but you got your face in your phone watching Instagram. Come on, man. Turn that stuff off, and then you'll be able to see a whole world that you're walking right past. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So me and all my friends, and I shared this with you, all my friends are creatives. We're all creatives, and all of us do very well, thank God. But here's the thing. Here's how we think. Our minds never turn off, and we're always looking for the red car, man. Always. We're always looking for a red car. Remember, a red car is an opportunity. We could be out bowling. And you got a bunch of fellas. We've all known each other forever. We're cracking on each other, saying your mama jokes and everything else. Somebody will say something funny, and we're like, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, you know what? And next thing you know is paying us a boatload of money. That's how we think. That's how we think. And I love hanging out with creative people because, our minds work different. It's proven, business people and creative people, they think with two different sides of their brain. And I coach a lot of CEOs, COOs, CFOs. I love it, but a lot of them, they think so linear because they really believe this. You know what, Tom? 2 + 2 = 4. That's what it is. And I don't want to talk about it any further. That's just what it is. Okay, that's fine. But see, to us, 2 + 2 = whatever we want it to be.
Exactly.
Because we're creative. Okay. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. Exactly. That's a fact.
You reminded me of a quote Will Smith said too. I forgot where he said this at, but he said 2 + 2 = whatever I want it to equal. And I remember so clearly because I watched that with a few people, and they said, what is he talking about? And I immediately recognized what he meant.
You know what that is? Alchemy, bro.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books called The Alchemist. I highly recommend that.
Yep. Paulo Coelho. Yep. I read the book as well. Oh, hell yeah, man. That book is one of the best I've ever read.
That book and The Art of War are two of my favorite books.
Yes, sir.
You know what? And my third favorite book is The 48 Laws of Power. Okay.
Oh, and good.
50 Cent. Now watch this. 50 Cent, me and Fifth, we have the same agent, right? And here's what's a trip. So he liked that book so much, he wrote a book called The 50th Law, right? I highly recommend that. I highly recommend that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because
Okay.
listen, man, there are rules to this. People don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. You just don't wake up and be successful. Okay. I promise you. If you hear, like, for example, if you hear 50 Cent and you hear Jay-Z, who are two remarkably successful businessmen,
Mm-hmm.
neither one of them went to college. Okay. And it's widely known that both of these guys were in the drug game early on
Yep.
in their lives. Okay. And I'm not condoning any of that, but I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
this to make a point. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how good of a businessman that you have to be to have a product that you can't even market? Think about that. Okay. Now, if you in that game, if you've got to operate with a certain type of integrity, because if you make a wrong move, you're going to end up in jail or dead.
Yep.
Okay. So now they have taken a lot of those principles and applied them to business. And if you hear
Mm-hmm.
either one of these guys in an interview, you would swear to God they went to Wharton School of Business, or they went to
Wow.
Harvard or Yale or Princeton, and because they're remarkable businessmen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they understand the rules of engagement in successful business. Okay. These are the kind of
Mm-hmm.
people that I study. They didn't get to be where they are by accident. Okay.
Right.
We didn't. So, I love to read. I love to learn from people who have done what I want to do. And it's
Exactly.
really interesting because my mentor, perfect example, he's worth $8 billion with a B. He owns over
Mm-hmm.
70 hotels. And, if he walked in here right now, you'd think he was homeless.
Ah,
He's not trying to impress you. He's not
yeah.
trying to get a job. He's not trying to date you. It's just, people like that, they move a very, very different way, which goes back to what we were speaking on earlier about,
Mm-hmm.
people moving in silence. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And here in California, it's very different. When I travel to different places, I kind of see how people move differently. But here in LA,
Mm-hmm.
man, you'd be walking next to a billionaire. You don't know anything about him. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they move in silence.
That's one thing. That's one thing I do recall very much when I was down there, and making my way back down there. But when I was down there, it's just
Mhm,
other areas, other cities that I've gone to. There's a certain synergy that is in that city that
mhm.
is hard to emulate in other places. You can sure you can find it in other areas, but
Sure.
it's specific in that spot, it's something special, man. And I think that it goes down to the culture, being where the action is, or as you had mentioned earlier, if you want to see lightning strike, you got to go where the storms are. And so I preface all this kind of wrap it up because I know you got to go here pretty shortly. Um, you have worked with a great deal of people, right? Whether they have seen the mountaintop for fame or the mountaintop of money or just the mountaintop because they themselves set a goal to be in the industry. But out of all the people that you've worked with, and all the networks you worked with and the films and the television shows that you worked on and produced, what is the main takeaway that you would say to somebody who wants to get into the business? What's the main takeaway you would want them to learn of in terms of how should I do this? Should I go in all these directions, or what should I do? What would you tell that young person?
That's a great question, man. I would tell them to really research what you want to do. Okay.
Hmm.
Quick story. It's very important. Okay. The universe has no sense of humor. Has no sense of humor. Here's what I mean. So my friend's daughter moved out to Los Angeles and she wanted to be an actress. And my friend was really worried about her. They live on the East Coast. And I said, dude, I got you. Don't trip. I got your daughter. She's going to use me as her contact and I'm going to make sure that your daughter is good. So she
Hmm.
comes to Los Angeles. I put her through the gauntlet. I wanted her to feel what this business really felt like. So I didn't just have her come up and hang out in my office. I had her set an appointment. I had her come wait in the waiting room. And when she came up, we actually had a real meeting
Hmm.
and we had a discussion about her goals, short-term goals, her long-term goals. We had them, we wrote them down. I had her sign them and
Hmm.
date them. And I signed them and dated them. Okay, fast forward. Okay, so She calls me and she's crying. Oh, Mr. Tommy, I'm about to move back to New York and everything's not going how I wanted to go. Calm down. Why don't you come up to the office? Let's pull out your goals and let's see where we are. Let's just kind of reassess, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So she goes to the office. I pull up her goals. Now watch this. So I have them up on my screen and I say, first goal was she wanted to move to Los Angeles and get an apartment. You did that, right? Okay, cool. Let's scratch that one off. Scratch. Okay. Number 2, she wanted to get an agent. Well, you got an agent, right? Because I helped you. Okay, cool. Scratch. Here's the lesson. Number 3, she said that she wanted to be on television. Okay. Now, in my house, I was walking through my house, and I don't watch a lot of television, but I was walking through my house, and she was on a show as an extra. And for those of you who don't know, an extra is someone who does not have lines. Okay. But she was playing a receptionist on Dick Wolf's show, SVU, Special Victims Unit. Right. And Ice-T comes in the room and he walks to her desk and says, is Mr. So-and-so in? And she goes, and you know, she didn't have any lines. So he goes, is Mr. So-and-so in? And then she's, you know, she starts to react. He goes, never mind. And he walks past her and he go burst in Mr. So-and-so's office. Right. Now, you're on television because I saw you. No, Tommy, you don't understand. I said, no. You don't understand. I said, the universe gave you exactly what you asked for.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm so sorry to tell you, but the recording for the remainder of the video was cut. I don't know what happened, but seemingly just stopped recording. But thankfully, what was left was just about like a good minute to 2 minutes left, and Tommy just went to go finish the story. And the moral of what he was talking about is be really specific in your ask. Be really specific in what you are wanting to obtain, and be really specific down to the letter for what it is you are putting out into the world for it to come back to you. Tommy Morgan Jr., man, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Thank you for being a good mentor to me and to so many others. Thank you for being a good friend. And quite honestly, man, just thank you so much for being a good person. The world needs far more people like yourself, people who are willing to just take you by the hand and help, just from a genuine place in their heart. And me personally, I just really appreciate you showing me a ton of love and you taking hours out of your time during your busy schedule to really look out for me, just like I know you do with others. So, hey, everyone, on that note, I hope you enjoyed what you learned on this episode. I hope you very much look forward to what's to come. I have some bangers coming out throughout the rest of the year, so please stay tuned. And on that note, you all take care. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you next time. That's all I got.